The P word, the B word, and the A word have all been entered into the congressional record as the Republican efforts to expose those at the top of Twitter has taken a surprising turn. CNN This Morning starts right now.
Well, yesterday, House Republicans grilled former Twitter executives, trying to get them to admit the FBI wanted Twitter to help that Twitter wanted to help Joe Biden ahead of the 2020 election by suppressing that Hunter Biden laptop story.
Many Americans did not know about it because of a coordinated cover-up by big tech, the swamp, and mainstream news.
Twitter was basically a subsidiary of the FBI.
I think you guys wanted to take it down. I think you guys got played by the FBI.
But witnesses at the House Oversight Committee hearing pushed back. Actually, a former Twitter employee did say she'd heard of the federal government trying to suppress speech on the site, but she said it was the Trump White House that made that request. The former president reportedly contacted Twitter to ask that they remove a derogatory tweet from model Chrissy Teagan. The former Twitter employee read the tweet, and in this congressional hearing, I want to warn everyone, if you have kids, turn the TV down, turn the radio down, because you'll hear why. Listen.
Earlier, you testified about a 2019 tweet that was about President Trump, and I think it was from Ms. Teagan. What was the tweet about?
Would you like me to give the direct quote?
Yeah.
Please excuse my language. This is a direct quote, but Chrissy Teigen referred to Donald Trump as a pussy-ass bitch.
Okay. Free speech.
Kara Swisher is with us, host of On with Kara Swisher.
Quite an intro.
What a moment, Kara. To say, this happened, but not the way you thought it happened.
That's correct. I'm glad we got to the bottom of this nonsense. I mean, this is ridiculous. What has been shown here is that Twitter was not really pressured, but they were contacted by everybody who wanted to influence what they were doing. But there was no conspiracy here. There was no anything except people trying to gain purchase. And in the case of this Hunter Biden thing, they denied it. They denied it. And so I think this was a waste of taxpayer money. It's a lot of nonsense. It's a lot of allegations that they just can't prove. And so hopefully they'll move along from this one and move on to another nonsensical idea or conspiracy theory around these people. But I thought the executives did a great job.
Yeah. If you look at it, wasn't just they're trying to make it out to be some sort of left-wing conspiracy or what have you, but it was actually Trump who was trying to get Twitter, and it looks like successfully got them to change their rules as it relates to...
Sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they tolerated him. This is well known. It was out in the open. There's no conspiracy here. He was, he abused the rules of Twitter over and over again, and they let him do it. And that's pretty much it. But there's no conspiracy of a bunch of, a cabal of people deciding things like this. They're just trying to run their company, and they have a difficult customer, and they let him do what he wanted. And that's pretty much what came out at this hearing.
Well, just to clarify, because their policy was to, if you said something like, go back to your own country or something like that, and they took that language out to appease, right, so the president can get away with tweeting certain things. Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but Scott, this has been the subject of so many conversations that I've had with Republicans and Trump officials, that there was this conspiracy. James Comer, who's the House Oversight Chair that we saw there, was saying the other day that the FBI and Twitter were colluding on this. And when, we said there's no evidence of that, there's no evidence that there's any directive they got on the Hunter Biden story. And now we see it was actually Trump people who were also asking to remove tweets because of what it was saying about the president of the United States. So does this end this whole saga, or what is your prediction?
The only conspiracy here is a conspiracy of dunces that is our government right now, as reflected in this hearing. This communicates to every Chinese official, send more balloons. These people are idiots. First off, it begins from a place of idiocy. A private company has no fidelity to the First Amendment. It's as if, are you going to have Ted Cruz on later today? Oh no, you're censoring the government. The notion that the FBI, the only real targeted assertion that they really needed to defend was that they coordinated with the FBI. They did not coordinate with the FBI. As a matter of fact, if there's any censoring going on, if there's any bias, it's toward letting the president organize an insurrection on their platform. and that they weren't being as diligent as they should have been around censoring certain content. There's a certain both sides of them. I do believe the Twitter executives probably lean progressive, and as a result, they engage in both sidism and let content and people on the right get away with things they wouldn't let people on the left. But it's a private company. They get to decide this.
Let's take a moment and listen to what one of the 3 Twitter executives testified about that, Scott, and about the decision on the Hunter Biden laptop story and who it was and what, or was not influenced by. Here it was.
I believe Twitter erred in this case because we wanted to avoid repeating the mistakes of 2016.
I'm aware of no unlawful collusion with or direction from any government agency or political campaign on how Twitter should have handled the Hunter Biden laptop situation.
Kara, it was your interview with that first executive where he actually broke the news and you really pressed him on, but you guys were wrong. And essentially what I took from that was we're human, we were wrong, but we were protecting against the warning of disinformation, right? I'd like to debunk something that's just not a fact that really powerful Republican lawmakers have been stating as fact. They keep saying, Kara, that Twitter, that the FBI paid all this money to Twitter to do things the FBI wanted. That is not how it works. Can you explain the facts?
It's not how it works. It didn't happen. They're making it up. They're lying is what they're doing. And it's not true. They're just saying it for the cameras. And this guy in particular, Yoel Roth, was very forthright about a mistake. And what they did is they corrected it the minute they made it. Now, it was a stupid mistake, absolutely. And they shouldn't have done that. I thought it was a bad call. They made a lot of bad calls, including letting President Trump go on and on. But this is a company that can make bad calls. And that particular executive got attacked by the right wing, and he had to hide. He was under death threats. And, I think they tried very hard to be fair. It's almost impossible. And to then gin up conspiracies on top of it it's shameful to have done that to these people. That said, they seem to think Twitter is a public utility, and it is a private company that can do as it pleases, even if you don't like it. But the bias was on the side of making sure conservatives weren't tweaked by them. I think that's what came out of this hearing.
Final word, Scott?
Kara's exactly right. We engage in both sidism in the media because many of us are cognizant of the fact that we might lean progressive if we live in a city or we work in media. And as a result, I think we overcorrect. The travesty of the scandal here is that we let a man coordinate an insurrection against the United States on their platform. If there's anything here that we should really be looking at in terms of putting in place safeguards, or how this company made terrible decisions that really teared at the fabric of America. It was the fact that we decided to get a bunch of people together, let them organize, riot, and then in a violent takeover of our capital, embarrass the nation and set us back probably decades reputationally. That's the scandal here. And that's something the Republicans weren't expecting that they would talk about as much. This was a shameful hearing, made us look stupid.
I think you both bring up the really a lot of important points made, but I think one of the most important made is that you don't have a right to be on. It's not a right to be on Twitter. It's not a right to appear on any media platform. It's a privilege, right? They get to do what they want. They get to decide the rules. And that does not mean that you're censoring people because you have certain rules. It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, but we did get that tweet onto the congressional record. It's really a great day for America. I mean, honestly, it's so ridiculous.
It is. Well, get ready for more.
Thank you.
It's a really good point, Poppy, about because I looked into that about the FBI is required to reimburse companies for the cost they get to satisfy subpoenas.
That's right.
And that Republicans have used that to say they were paying Twitter.
That's right.
It's down a rabbit hole, but it really is something that they repeat a lot.
No, it's a good point. I think it's a very good point, but I could go on and on and on with this segment, but we have to move on. But we need more of this to explain to people the madness, as Kara and Scott pointed out, that the American people are going to have to deal with, and you're spending taxpayer money for grudges and grievances from the prior
and let me tell you something.
Administration, supporters of the prior administration.
Not all Republicans agree with it. They want to investigate other things that they think actually has more traction and would be more meaningful.
Would it be great if hearings on educating kids and feeding those most in need got all that attention?
And healthcare and voting rights and all of that stuff.